A new day, a new rumor linking Benfica's João Félix to yet another massive club. What's up? My name's Adrian and this is Rabona TV, where today we'll be going over the life and short career of Benfica's João Félix, as well as taking a look at his playing style to give you everything you need to know about the kid who has, of course, been called the next Cristiano Ronaldo. In actual fact, João Félix is João Félix and Cristiano Ronaldo is Cristiano Ronaldo, despite João's numbers trumping Ronaldo's when he was at the same age. But we'll get to the numbers and everything in due time. And hey, along the way, if you dig the content, then a subscription is appreciated, and we'll bring you more player bios, roots of the rivalry videos, concept and news explainer videos, and so much more. Alright, I'll add the links to my sources from this video and other interesting videos in the description, and let's get to it. João Félix Sequeira was born in the city of Viseu in Portugal on November 10th, 1999. João and his family like to say that he could dribble with a football before he could even walk, and in speaking to the Players' Tribune, he said that he had a ton of footballs laying around in the living room of his home. And later, when his younger brother Hugo was in the picture, there was further pandemonium, as João says that his brother was one of the few people he would trust enough to share his football with. By the way, just a side note here, João's brother Hugo was also signed with Benfica's youth academy, and João jokes around saying that people believe his brother is better than he was at that age. But he's still the senior, as can be seen here when João scored against Setúbal and celebrated with Hugo, giving him a brotherly smack on the head after scoring. I may have to make a video on Hugo in the future, as he's been cleaning up for the U15s and is expected to be another massive talent from Benfica's academy. Alright, sorry, that was a bit of a tangent. Back to João. João's father, Carlos Sequeira, played football as well, on top of teaching and working as a fitness instructor. Whenever Carlos had a football match, he would bring his son along. Speaking to Portuguese media outlet O Jogo, Carlos said, quote, "At halftime of the games, João was one of those kids who ran to the middle of the field to play with the ball, and even then, he drew attention." One of the clubs that he drew attention from was, of course, FC Porto, whom he signed with when he was 8 years old. João told the Players' Tribune that he would have to travel 120 kilometers to Porto from Viseu daily for training sessions on top of matches every weekend. The coaches at Porto realized he was skilled with the ball, but pointed towards his slight frame as the biggest detractor of his talent. João was shorter and skinnier than almost everyone else in his age group at the Porto Academy, and because of this, coaches would often select other players over João in matches and cast a ton of doubt as to whether he could actually make it as a professional in Portuguese football. Eventually, the time came to really commit to the Porto Academy, meaning that João would have to move to Porto permanently. Looking back on this time, João says that he called his family crying on the first day, saying he didn't want to stay there in Porto. His father recounts that time and remembers telling his son that if he wanted, he'll come and pick him back up from Porto, but that he would never take him back there again. João told the Players' Tribune that this, quote, "opened my eyes to reality. I said to myself that I needed to stay. It was more serious now." However, the frustrations with the lack of belief in his professional potential continued to get to João, and while he was still part of the Porto Academy, he decided to sign with Benfica after 7 years with their rivals. I mean, it seems like it was the right move. Just look at the photos of João Félix sporting Benfica apparel as a kid. Looks like he ended up where he wanted to. Félix moved from FC Porto to Benfica because, as he told the Players' Tribune, quote, "Being at Benfica, a club that invests heavily in the academy teams, was good for me. There are not many clubs in the world with the same academy infrastructure, and that made me want to come to Benfica." And the Benfica staff were happy to have him. Former Benfica youth coach, João Tralhão, couldn't speak highly enough of João Félix's ability once he joined them at Caixa Football Campus, Benfica's academy. Speaking to CNN, Tralhão said, quote, "He's a very talented player, very technical player. His decision-making qualities are absolutely amazing, outstanding. Elite level for sure, and he's very humble, likes to work, likes to listen, and has a competitive mentality." End quote. And I mean, if that wasn't high enough praise from a coach who has seen the likes of Bernardo Silva, Renato Sanches, André Gomes, João Cancelo, and more go through the Benfica Academy of late, then going even further, Benfica legend Nuno Gomes claimed that his talent was there to be seen immediately, throwing into mystery even more as to why Porto didn't believe in him. Quote, "It was clear for everybody that we were in front of a young, special talent," Gomes told CNN. His relationship with the ball, his first touch, his intelligence marked him out as a completely different kind of player. In his first year at Benfica, João Félix played with the youth teams, but in his second, he began playing with Benfica's B team, which competes in the Liga Pro, the second division of Portuguese football. Once he began to break into the starting 11 of Benfica's B team, he never looked back, with his skill on the ball and solid, sometimes inventive finishing style beginning to attract the attention of clubs around Europe, even in the second division of Portuguese football, not to mention what he did for Portugal's youth international teams. In fact, in his first season with the B team, he became the youngest ever player to represent the squad at just 16 years of age, coming on as a substitute in the 83rd minute versus SC Friamund. That match ended in a 0-0 draw, but later he would break another record as João became the youngest player to score for Benfica B in the Liga Pro. But hold on, he'd become the youngest player to do a few things yet in his fledgling career. In total, from his first season with Benfica B, he scored 3 goals in 13 matches, all the while playing as a midfielder, which, if you're familiar with him now, you'll know that he plays more as a forward than a winger or midfielder. But, like I said in the intro, I'll give you an idea of his playing style later. His first ever goal for the Benfica B side came in a loss to his hometown club, Académica Viseu. In the 2017-18 season, he continued to progress and impress with his performances on the pitch, scoring 4 goals from 17 appearances in his second season with Benfica B. On top of this, the Benfica training staff began instilling a strict training regime to try to improve the physical side of his game. By the way, his short frame wasn't a problem anymore like it was at Porto, as a late growth spurt put his height at about 1.8 meters or 5'11". And speaking of impressing on the pitch, it was during the 2017-18 season that he really began to attract attention, especially after he scored a hat-trick against FC Famalicão just a couple of months after his 17th birthday. These performances for the B team led to João Félix being promoted to the first team during the pre-season for the 2018-19 season. He made his Portuguese Primeira Liga debut against Boa Vista on August 18th, 2018, coming on as a substitute and only playing for about 2 minutes. In his next match, however, he announced himself to the rest of the league, coming on again as a substitute in the Lisbon derby versus Sporting on August 25th, 2018, and after being on the pitch for 15 minutes, he rose above Sporting fullback Ristovski to head home Rafa's cross and rescue a point for Benfica in a match that Sporting keeper Salin was forced to make 9 saves. It was super Salin. João became the youngest Benfica scorer in a Derby de Lisboa since club legend Fernando Chalana back in 1977, scoring the first of what would be a goal-filled debut season, at least in the second half of it. Because playing time wasn't coming regularly enough under former Benfica manager Rui Vitória, at least when you compare it to the amount he would get once Bruno Lage took over at Benfica. Lage, of course, worked with Benfica's academy for much of his career before becoming the assistant manager of Portuguese coach Carlos Carvalhal at both Sheffield Wednesday and Swansea, before returning as the manager of Benfica's B team. With Vitória getting the sack in early January of 2019, Lage's first match in charge of Benfica was a 4-2 win at home to Rio Ave, in which the shape of the team completely changed. Under Vitória, Benfica played more of a 4-3-3 formation, and when he would feature, Felix would most commonly play on the left as a winger. However, with Lage changing Benfica's shape to more of a 4-4-2, João was partnered with Swiss striker Haris Seferovic up top, the best decision Lage ever made. Seferovic and João Félix would become a formidable duo, with João showing that he wasn't just a silky smooth dribbler on the wing, and that he can be a lethal finisher on his day and pick out a beautiful through ball. In that first match partnered together, the 4-2 win over Rio Ave, Seferovic and Felix scored a brace each, with Seferovic going on to score 20 more goals across all competitions in Lage's new formation, and his Padawan, Felix, went on to score 17 and assist 7. Of course, if you hadn't taken note of João Félix yet, then his performance in the Europa League quarterfinals against Eintracht Frankfurt certainly grabbed the attention of the rest of Europe. With Frankfurt going down to 10 men, and by the way, Felix played a beautiful through ball that forced the defender to foul Jedson and led to the red card. And João Félix was playing as the lone striker in this one. He completely took over the match, scoring 3 goals and providing an assist for the other in a 4-2 win. That hat-trick meant that he was the youngest ever player to score a hat-trick in the Europa League at just 19 years and 152 days old. And you can see how much it meant to him to get his first hat-trick of his top-flight career. With his exploits this past season, suddenly his contract renewal from back in November of 2018, which would keep him at the club until 2023 and included a €120 million buyout clause, didn't seem like it would be enough to keep him at Benfica for long. In total, he made 43 appearances across all competitions, scored 20 goals, created 11, and was absolutely integral to Benfica's comeback title win for their 37th title. Okay, So now we know a bit of his backstory, how he did in his debut professional season, and that he's attracted the attention of almost every club across Europe. Juve, Liverpool, Barcelona, both Manchester clubs, Real Madrid, Atletico Madrid, and more are all apparently fighting for his signature, so I'm sure some of the fans of those clubs watching this video will be wondering just how exactly he plays. Well, as mentioned earlier, under Vitoria he played on the left of the attack in a 4-3-3 formation, but under Bruno Lage he plays just off of the striker, typically Seferovic in this case, where he could be classified as an extremely advanced attacking midfielder that can play as a pivot player between the striker, central midfielders, and the wingers, or you could just call him a second striker. The terminology is up to you, but the point is, he has thrived while being given the tactical freedom under Bruno Lage. He's been compared to players like Kaká and Rui Costa, given the elegance he has on the ball. He isn't the fastest player ever, but he can beat you with his ability and trickery with the ball at his feet, while he also has merited those comparisons due to his skill in picking out a pass. For me, one of his most criminally underrated attributes is his ability to play a through ball when it seems almost entirely impossible to do so. He has an innate ability to play passes that would otherwise look as though they would only find an opposing defender, but they somehow find one of his teammates. He's also been compared to former Portugal international João Pinto, given João Félix's instinct to float into the box late to get on the end of crosses and cutbacks, scoring a fair few of his goals in this fashion actually. He can be a threat from outside the box as well, as he's lashed a few strikes into the back of the net from range, but is also an aerial threat, getting on the end of a lot of crosses. Now the comparisons to Ronaldo make sense in some regard, both Portuguese, right-footed, left-sided attackers, etc. And in fact, João Félix's numbers trump Ronaldo's at this age, as I said. In Ronaldo's first season in the domestic competitions with Sporting, he played in 28 matches and scored 5 goals and got 1 assist, while João played in 31 and scored 16 goals and 7 assists. But at this point, Ronaldo was heading to Manchester United, where he would spend a few seasons with a lot of promise but not much scoring. For João Félix, it would be very dangerous to start making comparisons to Ronaldo's trajectory based off of one season, as we saw how Ronaldo's career took a few seasons of top-flight football to truly blossom and take him to the elite level. So, João Félix is a bit of a jack-of-all-trades attacker, strong on the counter, holds the ball up fairly well when needed to, but he's not a target man. But if you had to pick 3 main attributes to highlight, it would be his finishing, his passing, and his ability to beat players with the ball at his feet. An attacker who's comfortable with the ball at his feet, as I just said, or having to finish chances first time, while also being an extremely gifted passer, you can understand why he's so sought after. As a Benfiquista, of course I'd like to see him stay, as we don't want a repeat of Renato to happen, but to be honest, João Félix seems like he's of another class, like he's of another caliber. Regardless though, he needs playing time, as any young talent does, and while I hope that will be at Benfica, wherever he goes, if he's given the proper investment of time and attention, he could become one of the most frightening attackers in the entire sport. Thanks for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this look at João Félix's life and career so far, and if you did, then a like is always appreciated, and a subscription would help the channel massively and ensure you're in the loop for more player bios, roots of the rivalry videos, and so much more. Once again, I'm Adrian, this is Rabona TV, and I'll catch you in the next video. Later!